Here on the phone from New York is Ricky Gervais.
Hello.
Hello. It's morning where you are, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Yeah. Hello, Ricky. There's a lot to talk about. This Derek. It's a pilot, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah. Well, it was. I did a little pilot. I mean, I've had the character for a while, and I had some time off. I did a pilot, and I showed it to Channel 4, and they liked it so much they wanted to put the pilot out. So this is just a one-off, and I've started writing the series, but we're in talks, and I promised them 12 years ago, because I had the character and I did the 11 o'clock show, and I promised Channel 4 that if I ever did the character, they could have first refusal. So at the moment it's theirs if they want it, and I'm writing the series.
I saw it, because it was part of Rubberneckers, which I think was 2001 at Edinburgh, which was you, Stephen Merchant, was it Jimmy Carr, maybe Robin Ince? And
Robin Ince, exactly, yeah. And it's from way back when I did the pilot for Meet Ricky Gervais. So that's how old it is. And you saw a copy, and I would like to thank you for your lovely positive tweet about it. I thought you'd like it, so thanks for that.
My pleasure. I do like it, and I think it's not quite what people are expecting. But let's talk about what people are expecting, because there's been a sort of
that's the thing, isn't it? That I don't think you should ever worry about what people are expecting, because they start making up their minds before they've seen it. Then they make their minds up from reports third hand of people that have seen it, and it just goes into myth and legend, and I hope people do watch it to make their own mind up. But I'd say people to be surprised, only that it is quite different to anything I've done before. I usually play sort of monsters like David Brent and Andy Millman. He was a nice guy that got body snatched, and in some of the films I play these delusional, awful characters, and Derek's very different to that. He's the other side of the coin, really. He's just kind. He's down the line. It leaves behind that veil of irony that I usually have, because the characters in it are saying what's on their mind. They say what they mean, and they're flawed characters. They've all got problems. It's a bunch of autograph hunters who help out in a nursing home, and I think it's time to do something about everyday life again. I sort of did it with The Office, but that was a life's work. That was my first thing, and your first thing you do is your life's work, and the second thing you do, you've got a couple of years to do it, which was extras, and I think it's a bit of an antidote to fame. I've sort of studied that in a lot of the things I do, Hollywood and ego and fame and all that sort of stuff. But this is just more down the line, ordinary people with real problems, not champagne problems.
I'm pleased you've gone back to ordinary people. I read somewhere that initially in the pilot, when you filmed the pilot, you had a couple of celebrity cameos, but then dropped them. Is that right?
Well, we were setting the scene because Derek, played by me, and Kev, his best mate, played by David Earl, who's an absolute waster. He's got all these terrible things under the sun that he claims benefit for, and he doesn't work, and he drinks all the time, and but they're obsessed with autographs. And so this guy's got 35,000, and Derek's just starting. So it was more of a backdrop. We did a couple. We're not going to, the pilot we shot for a week, and the pilot came in at like 30 minutes, and so we had to cut it down to 24 because Channel 4 wanted to show it. But that's not to say there won't be in the future, but they're just a backdrop, really. Yeah. Just because they're autograph hunting, so you will see. But it's not like extras where they feature or Life's Too Short at all. It's just, they're almost background, really, if at all. But it wasn't cut for any other reason than time, and I wanted to concentrate on the story, because I think with here it's much more about the characters and the storylines. They're real stories, and you follow them, and it's going to be more. You'll see that it's an ensemble piece, and everyone's got their own story. Which is quite hard in 24 minutes, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You can do it in an hour with drama, and this is a comedy. But as you've seen, there are quite genuine dramatic moments, and
particularly towards the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Did it because it's caused? There's been some debate about it already, and I know that some people have essentially prejudged it and talked about it on Twitter. I wondered if you were, compared to your other programmes and the other programmes that have premiered, are you a bit more anxious about the broadcast of this show tonight?
I'm just bored with it all. I'm so bored. This happens every time. Ever since I came out on the 11 o'clock show, what do you think of this? Is it wrong? Is it right? Everything I do, it's just every single week has been the end of my career, if you believe 6 or 7 journalists. It makes no difference to me. I don't let it affect my work. I don't care if people like it or not. I'm happy with it. I get a final edit. That's what it is. I don't care whether, I'd rather people liked it, but I'd want them to see it to make their own minds up. I mean, it's just this insatiable desire. These people have got to write a blog or an article every day. They have to write about something. And, and now and again, when I do something, that gives them, something to write about. But it's noise. It's just graffiti. And most people make their minds up. They make their own minds up, which is good.
I think partly it was about, some people drew a line between some of those comments that you made last year on Twitter and this character. But for those that haven't read what you've said about Derek in the press this week, is that you say he's not somebody with a disability.
I've never considered him disabled. As I said, he's a little bit weird. He's not the brightest tool in the bunch, but he's cleverer than Father Dougal in Father Ted. He's not as weird as Mr. Bean. He's more aware than Baldrick. It's crazy, and I'm not going to defend it. Just watch it and make your own minds up. But I don't know what to say, really. I can't go around explaining it to everyone. From my point of view, he's one of these guys that you see that they've got a little hobby and that, and they're on the margins of society, and they are a little bit different, which I like to celebrate. I've never shied away from that. But when I portray a disabled character, like in Extras, I get an actor with that specific disability to do it. In Extras, I got an actor with Down syndrome to play a person with Down syndrome. I got an actress with cerebral palsy to play an actress with cerebral palsy. If, as I said before, if he was autistic, I'd get Dustin Hoffman to play him. Why was that all right? But no, Derek's a funny little nerd. Again, I don't care what people say or think. It's there on film for people to watch. I don't care if you like it. I don't care. But if you ask me my opinion, that's.
I actually think it's set up quite well because there's been this sort of pre-hype about it, and I've overheard people this week that I've been with saying, I've seen the trails for Derek, and I think Ricky's gone too far this time. Someone should tell him he's crossed the line. And actually, because there's that expectation, whatever they, I think it's what they.
This line, I've never drawn a line. I can justify everything I've done, and I don't know what this line is. People see these imaginary lines somewhere, and offence is not about right and wrong for a start. It's about feelings, and feelings are personal. I'm offended by many things, right? But it's nothing to do with it's right or wrong. It's just my personal opinion.
What offends you?
Well, your entry. I don't think that people should make horses jump over things being whipped, and then when they injure themselves, they're put down because they're not worth hanging around because of economic reasons, and basically a beautiful, majestic beast that took 2 billion years to evolve has just been slaughtered for fun. But I don't go to entry. That's how I do it. The only valid form of any sort of censorship of ideas in art is the right of people not to listen. But, we're all different, and
but my point, Do you know the point I was going to make, Ricky, is that in terms of being actually set up well, is I've been defending the show this week to those people who've only seen the trailers because I've seen the programme, and I think people are going to be surprised by it, because in the end, it's essentially a sensitive portrayal of an outsider, isn't it?
Well, exactly. But I know this, and I think when people see it, they'll know it. If they don't get it, that's not my problem. There's nothing I can do about it. If they get it but don't like it, that's fine. You know, comedy, drama, it's so subjective, it's not worth worrying about. But the same with offence, you know. I've said many times, just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. Some people are offended by mixed marriages. Some people are offended by homosexuality. They've just banned a word, right, in exams, right, the New York Governing Board, 50 words suggested not to use because it may offend. One of them was dinosaur. So that's my opinion on what's offensive and what's not, okay? So watch it, make your own mind up. If you don't like it, that's fine by me. But I'm not going to change. I'm not going to pander.
No.
That's
I'm
the
interested
thing.
about the dinosaur thing. So this is presumably it would offend some religious people who don't believe in evolution.
Exactly. So it's that thing, you know, you can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own facts. If you're offended by it, then that's subjective. You are offended, that's you. But that doesn't mean it is objectively wrong or offensive, because there's nothing, you know, I'm a considered comedian. I'm not one of these comedians who thinks that, you know, comedy is your conscience taking a day off. My conscience never takes a day off. I can justify everything I do, but I'm not going to go around begging people to understand it or like it. I really don't care. And that's what I said, it's just so boring when it comes out. And people think I caught it. That's the embarrassing thing, that people think I love this label of controversial comedian. I've never done anything controversial. What's controversial? You know, what is controversial that I've ever done?
Who do you think loves, when you say people think you love that label, who are you talking about, the people that write blogs and that kind of thing, journalists?
Yeah, well, I just think I don't want to be lumped in with those people who do court controversy and say things to get in the papers. You know, I do promotions because I want people to watch my show because I'm proud of it, and you know, someone's paid a lot of money for it, and you know, and all that, and that's fine. But I don't sit at home thinking what's going to really shock, what's going to offend, because it's too easy. You know, in America I say I'm an atheist and you hear gasps.
Yeah.
Now that should not be offensive. That should not affect anyone. You know, it's what I believe. It's like being offended by, in my opinion, offended by science and logic.
I remember your sign off at the Golden Globes, was it last year, where thank you God for making me an atheist. Love people to thank God for the winning award, like he's worried about who's going to win a Golden Globe. There's famine, disease, but he's going, I want Bullock to win. You know, it was also a play on words. Thank you God for making me an atheist. Clearly, you know, a play on words there, and a funny juxtaposition, the theological. But as far as trying to cause offence is concerned, I don't care. I don't care. Let's play a clip of Derek. So it's 10 p.m. Channel 4 tonight. Carl Pilkington is in it, and this, I know he's had a little some cameos in some of your other work, but this is him acting. This is his first proper acting role.
Scripted, him acting. Of course, I wrote it with him in mind, and I wrote it in his sort of voice. And so some people might think that this is a real documentary when Carl's on screen.
I mean, it's Carl in a funny way, but actually it's quite hard. It's not that easy to play yourself in a.
But you know, when you see Derek, you think, oh, that's a weird-looking guy, and when you see Carl, you'll go, oh, that's a weird-looking guy, and when you see Kev, you'll go, that's a weird-looking guy. But I want you to, the next day, when you go out tomorrow after watching Derek, just walk down the street, and you will suddenly see that those characters aren't so weird and out of place.
I know Carl, and it's quite difficult to get him to do anything. How did you coax him into acting?
It's been 10 years of me to get him to do anything. Idiot Abroad, he liked the idea of going around. He thought it would be a night like a holiday. You know, the animation, he just left his job, and I said, well, let's do a podcast, you know, and then that took off, and he actually quite likes the animation. I remember I got him to do a cameo in
Cemetery Junction.
I called him up and I said, "Is pork chops for lunch?" He went, "All right, I'll be there in about 20 minutes."